Hey everybody, this is Dark Rose, and we're back with another video on the tank game. So we're not going to really even try to cover what's been done since last time, because even I don't even know. We spent like hours working on just science, is a good way to put it. So we're just going to dive right into it, and we're going to work on the pause menu is the goal I kind of want to achieve today. Because we have the ability to move around, things are working, we have a dialogue system, but we have no way to really pause the game. And we have no way to get out of the game once we're in the game. So, of course, drive around. We can go to the movement test, move around, do things, etc. I love how the camera just did not follow me. This is unplayable. Okay. Oh wait, you know what? I'm zoomed in. You know that might be a problem. We probably also should fix the dialogue system at some point. Make it where it turns off if we leave areas. That would be useful, but another episode for that one. So what we want to do is a pause menu. So what we need is basically hit escape, the game pauses, and that's as simple as it gets. We also wanted to have the dialogue system be able to pause the game as well, so we're going to just need to create some kind of object for us. I think I've already started on the object, so let me go ahead and dig through the script folder and see if I can find... Yeah, so we have the game controller. So I already started on this. I already started on basically is pause, and more or less just whole bunch of notes on what needs to be done. So the pausing part supposedly is really simple from what I've read. Effectively what we can do is if game is paused, we can set a time scale. Because there's this little article I found. It's actually one of many articles I found. So this guy's trying to do the same thing. What's a pause menu? And the number one way I see recommended when doing a pause menu is A, you just want to have some kind of panel that you can turn on and off. And then B, you just want to set the time scale to 0. That is sadly the recommended way to do it. And the reason I say sadly is because I really wish there would be a way to be in Unity just to go, okay, disable updates in the scene. Just be able to turn things off, like turn everything but the GUIs off. It would be really useful. But we're going to do something like this, very simple. If game is paused, pause it. Then we have a separate option right here for show menu. So we're going to go if show menu. Then we'll enable a menu and disable a menu. The reason why we want two separate things for this is because our dialogue can pause the game, so we want to be able to do that. We may want to come in here later and actually set this to some type of value here, which I'm just going to go ahead and do this to public. I want to say this is a float, public float game time scale, and we're just going to set it to 1. That way, if we want to make some kind of time dilation, if we want to do like a slow motion, like say you got a critical kill or something, we're going to slow the whole game down, we have a way to do it without breaking our pause system. Because you don't want to have the game slow down and then have the pause system just completely wreck your slow-mo. So we'll be able to do that. Yeah, we'll leave that alone. So we have the show menu to do stuff, and the way they recommend doing it is just storing a game object. So that's basically how I was going to do it anyways. And we'll do the way they've done it as well. We'll just go ahead and do private serialization. I don't like to use the serialization fields that much because, to be honest, if I make something public, it isn't that big of a deal. It doesn't matter if another script can access it. But we'll do it with this just because I don't know. Draw within the lines today? Maybe? Keep it simple, I think is a good way to put it. So we get this, we set the menu active, set the menu inactive. That gets us our pause state. So check if... We do want to change the icons, that's something we want to eventually get around to. We're going to change the music, which we're not going to worry about right now. If we need to open a menu, dialogue, or actual pause game, that's basically handled. We then need to detect for the escape key. So... we want to have a separate state. So I think what we'll do, to make this easy, we'll have something like this. So if we need to show the pause menu, and we'll do like show pause menu. That way we definitely differentiate it in case we need to come in here and do something else. So we'll do that. And then we just need to add some kind of key check. And I have to remember how to do this, so I'm just going to really quickly Google it. Unity check for key press. You know what? I think what we want to do with this is there actually is a control system. So project settings, input. That's not what I... That's quality. Unity, you're drunk. There it goes. There's like a little lock button up here to make sure that's unlocked. Really hard to see. I need to find a setting where I can change this stuff. So there should be... So they have a submit, which is return. I don't want that. They have a cancel. They have multiple submits, actually. So this one is enter. That one's return. So I'm guessing they have two just because there's... You have the number keypad on the one side, which would be a little different. We have fire 1, which is basically our mouse button, which should be our mouse button. Actually, we have two sets of fire buttons. These are joysticks. Here's our fire 1 up here. That's mouse. Mouse 1. Left shift is our mouse fire 3, which is also set to mouse 2. I'm going to say that would be our middle mouse button with mouse 2. Our movement's fine. We don't need to mess with any of that stuff. Mouse scroll wheel. So I think what we're going to have to do is add something here. Oh, I did not want to do that. And that just adds another cancel to the bottom of this list. Is that the same? Oh, actually, you know what? They already have something here. Escape. Cancel. Can you not name these? No, you can name these. Joystick button 1. What is joystick button 1? Yeah, let's see if I can find a chart of this. This would be more important than me checking for key things. So Unity, Xbox, controller, button chart. Xbox 360 controller, Unity community wiki. Okay. Here we go. So that was mapped to joystick button 1, which is B. So we want our escape to be like start or something like that for our pause menu if we ever do this for the Xbox. I have no clue if we're ever actually going to get around to an Xbox version of this piece. I would like to because I have one sitting like right here in front of me, so I know we can do it. Actually, I have like multiple 360s, several in rough shape. This one is okay. It's worn down. It's a collector's edition one though. The only reason I've kept it this long. 4th, 5th axis, 6th, 7th axis, X, Y axis, button 8, button 9, 4, 5. 3rd axis are the triggers. No, you know, it's actually not a bad idea when I'm thinking about it. Like, from an engineering point of view, making the triggers the same as like a POV axis, because you have 2 of them, and you can just kind of gauge the amount of pull on them. That's actually kind of cool. So that's a Windows version of it. Oh, please tell me there's not a... Oh, wow. Why would there even be a separate version of this for Macintosh? Looks like the Linux version is roughly the same. I'm about to say, like, if I hit the Linux version was even different, I'd be like, nope, I'm done. I'm not doing Xbox Word. So Macintosh is the odd person. I don't understand why this would be. So your axes are roughly the same. So you got 4th. So you got 2 axes here. These apparently are going to always default to x-axis, y-axis. This isn't too big of a deal. I assume we can make a library or something. There probably already is one, and Unity probably already has one built in that would handle this for us automatically. If not, it would not kill me to go through and do something with this. But we do want to have an escape key, so we're going to call this pause, is what we're going to call this. And by default, it's going to be our escape. We'll leave a cancel here because this will be useful for other menus. So we'll check this one only for when we're in the game, and then we'll check this one for certain GUIs and stuff. So it'll have a use. And then we want to set this up to a button. This is the problem with this, is I'm actually really concerned be like trigger pause menu. There is no negative button, we only have positive button. Alt positive button would be a joystick. And what we're looking for is button 6. And this is definitely where I'm probably actually going to take some time to probably set up a library or go find one, because I do want this game to be as accessible as possible for as many different devices. So if you can't use a keyboard and mouse, maybe you want to use a joystick pad or a gamepad of some kind. I know my brother loves to use the Logitech gamepad he has, and he really enjoys it. Me personally, I like keyboard and mouse for most games, but I do occasionally like to use my Xbox One controller. So I know there's people like the PS controllers. I have a buddy who has a modified GameCube controller to play on his computer. So I know there's a really wide variety of these. Inevitably, the way we would handle this is we would have some kind of menu in the game where you could reassign all the keys to whatever inputs you want to set them up for. So we'll just basically expose this menu through a system. But for the moment, I do want to make sure we get this set up. And I really don't like how this is set up. This is kind of meh. I think we might definitely go through and make a custom system for this and just leave really basic stuff in here, because I'm assuming if you get the really basic stuff handled in this menu, then it should handle itself. This is just meh. Okay, so get that set up and that should work. I'll have to go find an Xbox control at some point, and let me bookmark this page. Although I'm probably going to have to go find something else here for it later. Let's drag this down here, get to the tank page, and we'll throw this, make a folder here, call this controllers. Always a good idea to bookmark everything you find so you can find it later. And same thing for this little article. Make sure I grab that one. I got tons of stuff in there. We don't need this anymore because we actually did that one. And I'm just going to... it does look like the Linux does have a special handling for the D-pad. But it doesn't mark it down here, so it says Linux. No, wired controllers only support access for the D-pad, while wireless controllers support... What? Now that is bizarre. That you have a different handling between wireless and wired. This is why when people go, oh, a game development's not that hard, and then you handle stuff like this and you're like, yeah, I can now see why games like MechWarrior don't support Xbox controllers. Can't begin to say how many times I try to play the game with that. So we got this. What we just want to basically do is check for key, which I'm going to have to look up how to... No, I actually don't need to look up this. I'll just go fork it from one of my other scripts. Player movement. And we just check for input. And we just check for something. And what this should do is it should be positive when it's down. And we just want to toggle it. So every time it's clicked, just toggle. We don't want to get access, actually. We just want to get button press. So Unity get button pressed. So the input.get button is what it looks like it'll be. And then, yeah, you just get... So that's cool. That's all I want to know. I don't need the access. This probably wouldn't even work. And we called it paused. Let me double check that. Oh, wait, flipped out Spectre on us. So this would be edit, project structure, input. No, we called it pause. Good thing we checked that. And this is what we're going to do. If pressed, and I think we only want to say if it pressed once. I think we'll be fine. And we just want to do this real quick. So this equals not that. That should show the menu. It doesn't matter if we put this at the top or bottom. It really doesn't, because next frame it'll click over. So that should then click, tell it to show, which will then pause the game, which will then activate the panel. So everything should show up. We just need to attach this game script to something, which we're just going to attach it to our data structure, because this is going to be something that's going to be shared across all the instances at some point. So literally, when we make worlds, we're going to drop this data object in there, and it's going to have our camera on it, our team manager, our event system. So it's going to have all the stuff that we actually need. I do need not apply. There you go. So we do need a pause panel. We're going to leave the game scale alone. So our pause panel, we'll put in a UI because that's where it's supposed to be. And it's going to be kind of simple. No, I'm going to rename this. This is going to be game.ui. Or, no, we'll do it this way. UI.game. And then I'm going to make a completely separate UI because then what I can do is turn that off. In theory, I could turn off the sub stuff too, but yeah, whatever. It doesn't work. It's easier this way. So we need a canvas. This would be UI paused. There we go. And this does mean that we need to modify our script real quick and add another object to this. And this would be game panel. And that should do the trick. And what this should do is on initialization, this should make sure all our stuff is set up properly because show pause menu should be off by default. So our pause menu, if left on, if for some reason because we're in the editor and we forgot about it, should work. And then so let's get this. So we're just going to toss some objects on here. So we're going to want some kind of title menu. So we'll grab the title thing and we're going to say, okay, game is paused. And I want to just put this right in the middle. Do that, do that. Is there an auto size? I remember there was an auto size option for text in here. There it is, auto size. That's kind of important. Although what I'm going to do is I'm going to up the width to like 400. And I'm going to then 100, it'll be fine. And then we want to set our tag or our anchor position to 0. Do that. Set this to 0. We'll set this to 1. And we set this to 0. And that should work because then if we go over to game view, game is paused. Then we want to make sure we do some outlines for this and stuff. So outline. Does that actually even work? Oh, you have to change the thickness. Okay. For you being an outline system, you don't seem to work. Oh, enable. Yeah. Just a really faint outline should make a huge difference on readability. We're gonna need to change the text color. This is not really held by the fact that my level by default is orange, so there's an underlay. I don't know what the underlay does. Maybe it's a shadow. Ooh, it is a shadow. Looks like crap though. We could make this blank. It'd be kind of something cool to do in the future episodes. Make a really soft, like, glow to it or blank. It's not something I want to do. I think this is our color handling for this. So let's get this to be like some fluorescent green. And that will work. So that tells us our game is paused. So we know it's paused. We can then make a blank if we wanted to. And let us go ahead and just test the logic real quick. So this is saved. We're just going to go in and make sure everything runs the way it's supposed to run before we continue. So that should have, if the script was running properly, set up the UI properly, but it didn't. Because we haven't initialized anything, which that just told us down here at the bottom, it's like error. Actually, that error I think is unrelated. I've been having, since I loaded into one of these scripts in here, some fallback error window pop up all the time. But these are the two errors that are part of our thing. Actually, no, trigger action dialog. Object reference is null, trigger dialog, line 719. Variable pause panel if game object has not been assigned. Okay. Which makes sense. So we want to do our pause menu. And then we want to do our game menu so that way they enable. And I want to get the scene saved so that way if we crash at any other point, I don't lose all the work. So if we hit play, we should see the game menu right off the back. We do. Now if I hit escape, pause menu, hit escape again, game menu. But if I hold it down, it flickers. So we don't want that behavior. We just want it to be a one-time click, and it has some kind of delay. I think there's a script call for like button press. So it's got the fire, so it's just getting the button state. We want to get button down. Yeah, there we go. Get key down is what it's called. Always good to check documentation. So this should, in theory, actually, it's asking for key. It's asking for key. I actually want, you know what? There's probably get button down. There's probably a version. Yeah, there's a button input down here. Yeah, get button down. Okay, so yeah, and there's a get button up. The get button up is actually surprisingly useful for a few different GUI inputs I've used in the past. But get down should do the trick because it only works when you're pressing it. So you press it, then you press it again, and it flickers. We could add a delay to prevent people from spamming it, but as long as it just keeps it from flickering, that's good enough. It's probably going to compile the script real quick. So now if we press it and we hold it, nothing happens. Press it again. And I actually can't spam that fast enough with this keyboard. I would need a little nicer keyboard, because that's about as fast as I can go. Yeah, that'll work. So I guess our pause menu. Now all we want to do is go in and with the UI. So what is this trigger dialog? So like line 19. I'm just gonna like really quickly look at this. Now scripts is where I do actually want to be. Scripts, map, trigger, action maybe? So what is that? What was that again? It was trigger action dialog. Okay. So it's line 19. Handler.add dialog to entry. So either the handler went null. Yeah, that's the only way this could happen. The handler went null. So let's just add a check here. If handler doesn't go null. If not, we still want to debug an error out of here. So else, I just don't want the script to crash. This would be debug. Is there actually a debug error? Debug error. Oh, there's a log error. Cool, I'll take that. Missing handler for dialog action. And then we'll just do plus this, and not really much you can do with this. I think there might be a two-string thing for C#, but I'm not sure what it is. And it's not that important. We just wanted to quickly fix that. I'm assuming what happened is like maybe we broke something with the dialog handler. Because the dialog handler is attached to the game UI, and it is trying to. Now this is an example where I might want to go put the dialog. Yeah, dialog might want to be put on a different object. Dialog display. I wonder if this is a break it's referencing, if it's disabled. Because really what I just want to do is I just want to hide everything. Maybe, hold on, let's do this. Click this. Oh, how do we turn off the canvas? Unity, disable canvas. Canvas object, get component, enable. So in theory, if we do it that way, now the trick is, if I click there, it doesn't do the next button. Actually, we'll have to test this real quick. Because what I don't want to do is turn off the render and then the components still work. So we have this right here. Actually, you know what? I didn't think it through very well. I have maximize on play to lift up. So let's do this. Hit play again. Unity seems to be running a little bit faster today than it usually is. At least that instance it ran a little faster. Because as soon as I said that, then now it's going to take a while to launch. That text is so blurry for some reason. It doesn't look as blurry on the recording software, so I'm going to say maybe it's just this monitor. So we're in place, we got that. So if we disable the canvas and click right where that button was, actually, you know the best way we can tell this? I can shoot in that area because there's a script I worked on where if I'm over here clicking, the guns won't fire if they're over top of the UI, which is really, really useful, believe it or not. So we can disable the canvas. So what we want is basically that script they were talking about. So we want to get the component. So in this case, yeah, we just grab this entire line right here because we know that the panels we grabbed in our scripts are actually should have a canvas on each of them. So we just do this. This is not efficient, but I know this. I've been told this a few times. It's not efficient, but it doesn't matter. So set this to true. Because you're only going to be calling the UI maybe once every so often. So pulling a game component off here when you're doing this UI isn't exactly going to be a problem. What we could do if we really were concerned about this is we can then change these out to canvas objects and enable disable them. Let's see if this works. Okay, the menu's paused. That's a good sign. Pops open. No errors. So it's good we paid attention to the action trigger, because the action trigger just basically it did tell us we had a problem. That's cool. Now we go back to the scene view and add a few extra objects. So for one, I am going to just go ahead and disable the render on this, just so I can keep working on the pause menu. In the pause menu, we're going to want to add... I'm going to add a few buttons. I'm going to have to actually come through here later and actually make these buttons nicer, but we can at least think about them. For one, I want to anchor these on the corner. And there is a reason why I am anchoring things in certain positions and stuff, because when the screen resizes and moves and everything else like that, I do need to give some consideration to how these components are going to move on the screen, and this is kind of how I can explain it. See where that pause menu is? If I resize this, I can grab a corner here. That is going to move. You see how our button moves with it too? Our button right now is anchored on the middle. So that means that button is going to be there no matter what. But we need to make sure we anchor that in such a spot that when we're resizing and moving and everything, that when it does move, and it does rescale and does resize, which actually on that note, I forgot to do something. See this little thing right here? I'm going to copy this. There actually is some settings here. And I want to paste component values. The reason for this is because this will resize all of our components on the screen, so that way when I do resize, the game pause gets smaller and bigger, which is kind of useful. It means our components will fit better too. I'll probably toy with it later more, but from my testing it did work. It's actually also interesting too with this, is I can actually set up my canvas renders to render on different displays. I haven't played with it, but theoretically, multi-display game, maybe? I don't know. Could be fun. I doubt it works the way I think it does, though. I've just never toyed with it. So buttons. So I want to anchor these guys on the corner. And then I'm just going to move them real quick. Because I kind of like it when we do pause menus that have like buttons up on the top here. But at the same time, maybe I just want to put them in the middle. You know what? This is a thought. So our tank is going to be right here in the middle. Our cursor is going to be right around this area. When we're fighting, we're going to be moving, we're going to be shooting, we're going to be moving and shooting. When you hit escape, where's your cursor going to be? It's going to be around here. So putting buttons over here has an advantage where you're not going to accidentally click them, but has a disadvantage that they're going to be decently far away from your cursor. So say you wanted to hit escape and go to options, or hit escape and do something else. It's useful. We do want to avoid the exit. So if you actually do have an exit button here, we're going to want to have a secondary dialogue to go, okay, are you sure you want to exit the game? There actually is really legitimate reasons for that. I know it does annoy some people when they're playing games that they just want to get out of the game. I've been annoyed by it severely myself with examples of like World of Tanks. Right before they actually added the exit game button, they used to have it where you could exit to the lobby, and when you went to lobby, then you had to exit from there to the launcher, from the launcher back to the desktop. So you had to go through 3 different menus to actually get out of the game, which was really bad. But there is a usefulness to at least ask because it prevents mistakes. So I think what we are going to do is actually anchor these in the middle. And we're going to anchor them on the top. And I'm going to get rid of this. I like my anchor points to be at the top of the buttons. It does actually make a huge difference. Center this. That really does not look centered. And we're going to need to think of like what we have here. So in the game, we really are not going to have a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to need an options menu. And if I didn't accidentally misclick. So we're going to have options. Actually, our first button we want to do is restart. And I'm going to duplicate this button. And I'm going to name this. We're trying to get in the habit of actually prefixing things in the scene with what they are. So then we're going to do options as our next button. We're not going to really have a proper checkpoint system in here, so we're not going to ever actually get to a point where we're going to be able to say, okay, I want to go back to the checkpoint. Just real quick. I want this to be negative 100. And this would be negative 140. It's about the spacing I'm using on other menus that works kind of. Try to keep things similar. The last one is going to be I want to say exit game, or no, exit level. And this is going to be, why did it actually, did this not go? That's weird how it's got a decimal point on that one. I must have accidentally nudged it. So this one is going to then be, I want to say leave, or end level. Duplicate. And we'll have an exit game. And the reason we'll have an exit game is there may be a situation where a player just, he's done with the game, he doesn't want to go back to the lobby, he doesn't want to do anything, he just wants to close it out. Say he was replaying a level for fun and had to go to his next class or something. This is actually a situation I've been in myself. This would just be exit game. And this would be 220. There we go, we get 4 buttons on the level. And that should work. Go ahead and save scene. Now I'm not going to program any of these right now. I just want to go ahead and get this set up, and that way we can then go in game and we can see the pause menu and go, yes, the pause menu works. So we get this, hit escape, pause menu works, and check our resize. Now here is a problem with resizing when it comes to certain things, is that that's going to suck. However, I am releasing this primarily on a PC, so I can expect at minimum somebody's going to have a monitor of this size. Which does mean we do want to make the buttons a little larger, because look at that, that's hard to read. cycle through our aspect ratios. So we do want to make those buttons bigger. That is something I will worry about at a later date, because that's not something I really care about. Most people are going to have larger monitors anyways, but doubling or tripling the button size would be a cool thing, because we are setting this up to resize with aspect ratio, so having it scale up and down is fine. And that's good. So I'm going to leave it here, and I'll see you guys later with more content updates.